Birds tweeting in the trees, trucks, Jeeps. Spring is in the air, and what do you do on spring day? Well, let me tell you. You take your Jeep, you take that hard top off, and then you install a new soft top so you can get to sunshine all the time. And what we're doing today is installing the new MyTop Power Top Jeep convertible. What's going on here?
What we need to do is we need to tap in for some power to be able to feed the system so that the top can actually power itself up and down. Now on these new vehicles, it's a little more difficult to splice into the wiring harness. So what we have here is we have basically a fuse doubler. So what we do is we remove one of the fuses and we replace it with this, which basically taps power off of the unit, still keeps everything fused. And then we have our control relays and fusing systems that MyTop has included. And we're going to tie wrap these up, make our connections, and get ready to move to the inside of the Jeep.
We're just removing these inner panels so we can run the wiring harness through and keep all our wiring unexposed. We have to disconnect the wiring for the door in order to get at the clips in behind to remove this first piece. Once this first piece comes out, the rest should come out quite easily.
Perry and I are here standing on top of the, well, whatever we can here to get some height. We've got the underhood wiring pretty much buttoned up. So what we have is we've got our fuse tapped off. We have sliced our way we took a little nip out of the plastic here, a little bite out of the plastic so that we can route our wiring out. We have our negative and our positive battery connections made. And then all that's left is we're going to tie wrap up our relay and fuse. And then all we got to do is, once we get to the underhood harness, that's going to be our main power feed going to the back of the Jeep.
Has MyTop given us a cable to run through the firewall underneath?
Yep, it is all pre-made harness, all wrapped and taped up for protection and ready to rock and roll to the back. The lengths are already made, so there's no cutting or splicing going on. The only thing we need to fight possibly to try and find is the brake light switch, because with the MyTop you have to have your foot on the brake in order to open or close the top.
After you get that front molding off, it's time to move into the back, and you can see with it off, you really get a good view of where we're going to be able to run our wires into the back. And we peeled this part away as well.
One of my tech tips of the day, developed through years of bloodshed and anger and fighting. If you're going to use tie wraps, get yourself a set of good flush cutters. They're like $8 at any electronics shop. You can grab, twist a little bit to get that last, and then cut them flush. That way, you're not cutting your arms all up when you're going through your wiring harness in the future. Normally I'd wrap this around my neck and hang myself from a good sturdy beam. That looks like a good one up there. But MyTop's actually done a really good job on the wiring harness here. Plenty of fuses and easy to figure out what goes to where. This is our brake light connector and it's actually fused. The harness all uses nice connections and everything is color coded, so we can actually pop these apart and not have to worry about where everything has to go in the end. These are really nice high quality switches that they gave us for top up, top down.
Now, one of the things that's nice is we're going to put the door surrounds on, and actually we've sort of done this already, and it's super easy to do, especially if you've ever done any other soft top installs. The bolts are going through the exact same holes in the same way as your OEM soft top, so if you're used to pulling that off, these are going to go on real simple.
All right, I don't know if you can see here. If you were gifted with a standard Jeep JL, this little tab way down here is what we got to fish our wire through. Normally there'd be a reservoir here to allow us to actuate our clutch. But we don't have that in this, so this is where we're going to come with our wiring harness, and we're going to run our wiring harness all the way across the top rim of the Jeep over to our harness over there. First, we got to punch a hole through that. This is the only hole that we have to drill to get to the engine compartment for this setup. So we're just going to drill that with a unibit. This is our plug for our clutch because we don't have a clutch. So now all I have to do is feed this plug back down there and twist it into place. You can watch me struggle on this for the next 20 minutes. After loosening the brackets here that hold our wire loom here, we ended up fishing our wire, our main power wire, all the way over from the driver's side to the passenger side. And we're just gonna tighten these up. For a neater look, you can definitely spend the time and open up this wiring harness all the way through.
And here we are with the front, rear door, and then the final door surround on the back, which has got a really nice hit of the burgundy from our color of the top. What are we doing, Brian?
We are connecting up the wire that connects to the brake light signal, and we need this for when the top goes up and down. So we're using a piece of cardboard that conveniently came with the box. All yours, Jay.
And so it's going from the harness on the driver's side,
Yep.
fish through the passenger side to find the...
Yes, we are.
Brake
And
light.
we find the brake light in the passenger side footwell. Got her there, buddy?
Yeah.
Oh, minty.
How much do you need?
Oh, pull all of it.
Hey, we said no phone calls.
So as you can see in the manual, they have the buttons placed on the left-hand side of the bezel. If you look here, and here's our vent there. So they're actually showing the buttons being placed right down here. The only problem with that is that's taking up the same space as one of the clips that actually hold the bezel in place. So what we're actually thinking about doing is moving the buttons to the other side of the bezel. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount them inboard.
So what's happening here?
Well, we're going ahead and installing the Velcro strip underneath this lip to attach the MyTop back piece.
And you decided to basically start it pretty much at the seam here, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, we're on like take number 14 of trying to get these button placement worked out for a Jeep JL and the MyTop. The issue that we keep running into is everywhere that we keep wanting to put the buttons under here, under the dash, it either makes it awkward for us to get to, or we have other structural members in the way. So we're going to end up mounting them right here, left and right. Now what these are, these take a 3/4 inch hole to mount them in, and so we place these center to center and 1.25 inches apart. That'll give us a 1/2 inch space in between the buttons. I figure that'll be a nice placement. If you're going to do this, and yes, you can place them wherever you want, make sure you get in and out of the Jeep a couple times and make sure that it's going to be comfortable for you and that it's not going to be in a location that you're going to hit with your knee or leg or anything else like that.
Jay, what are we working on?
Or just removing the bolts for the cross braces on the MyTop to be used when we put the cross bracing in.
And this side is labeled as the right side, is that correct?
Well, it is labeled as at the right side if you're looking from the back of the Jeep, but it would be the passenger side.
Right, so here it is. So you're taking off those bolts. We've actually put the motor on, making sure it looks like the diagram in the instructions with the wires at the bottom. And momentarily, we're going to put this on the Jeep. Meanwhile, Brian is assembling the switches into that lower panel location.
There we go. And make sure they're level.
So yeah, not just went underneath, tucks up inside the slot, and we're tightening it from the top. What are you up to, Jay?
Oh, just installing these support brackets to the roll bar.
So there's the rear bow bracket. How'd that go on?
Super easy. One bolt fits perfectly.
Yep.
Nice.
Tucked up under the dash is this little beauty. Now we are told that this is our wire that indicates our brake light. This comes from the body control module, which is right way under here. And we found this wire wrapped up around the rest of the harness, tucked way, way up there. Took us about 20 minutes to find this, but now that we got it, we're having a victory beer.
Yep, and it does. It looks and feels like a dirty cloth-covered shoelace.
Who would do such a thing?
What's happening over here, Jay?
Just removing the last couple bolts I forgot to take out for installing the soft top.
Oh, this is not light.
Okay, so we just pulled the headline around here. It looks really awkward.
This was pretty much a three-man job. One guy on the electronic switch to power up the roof, open it up, and a couple guys to watch the back end of it and keep everything clear so it doesn't scratch up the paint or get caught in the tailgate. A little nervous about this, Jay?
Fairly nervous.
And now that red stitching is integral to the window's construction, so we can't just pull the threads out. And once you've got that trimmed up very carefully, you just pull it off and there's your window. So it's good when you got a two-man team. Brian is replacing all sorts of different panels. Jay's up top, getting the next crossbar secured. And I'm here going to eat some more of this Canadian pizza. Good work, guys. Keep it up.
Moral support. More moral support.
There's lots of decisions that have to be made when you're putting on a roof. Do you go with just the pepperoni and cheese, or do you go with the fully done olive? What's your choice? Leave a comment below. So we've attached the second bracket incorrectly, as it's supposed to go from the inside out and not this way.
I'm going home.
Why?
So we unzipped it, and now you can access it. Velcro it in place.
Yeah. Velcro it.
Okay.
Do the worm. Do the worm.
Yeah.
Our bracket. Just Velcroing that up, and that is, once we bolt all these brackets down tightly, is what's going to give us our total tension front to back. More?
And we close the top without latching it down, so that now we can take care of the heim joint, damper, and the L-arm. So after you've got those L-arms in the back fixed up, cycle it a couple times, which we did, and then latched it down. The roof was super tight, definitely. We did adjust the latches a little bit to give us a little bit more room. But most roofs that I've installed, they definitely are very tight when they're brand new. You're thinking they're too tight. But we got it latched down with a little adjustment, and we know that it will loosen up, especially once we get to some warmer weather, and it goes through a couple times. So now that we've got the roof back up in the 90-degree position, we're kind of going to finish off the back corners here by putting those Allen bolts through in the corners on both sides. Hang on.
I'm crushing your head. I'm crushing your... yeah, okay, I just dated myself. Anyway. If you're used to putting on soft tops, then you know about these plastic strips that go underneath the, I call them the belt rail around the Jeep. Now remember that we put Velcro on here to be able to hold this in place when the top is all the way back. We don't want it flopping down the side of the Jeep. So you got to remember that when you go and put this on, you really have to force it up and into that track. Make sure that it seats in there for a good long time. You can't just let it sit there. So this may take having the top up to really force it up there and let the Velcro grab it.
Yeah, we're just sliding in that lower bar. Rubber seal down, so that'll seal against the tailgate.
Got her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get over how thick this material is. That canvas on the outside There must be almost like an insulation in there, and then that mesh on the inside. That is a super heavy duty top. Should be warm and quiet. And now the final step before the fine tuning is installing the electric motor covers. One goes on the outside, one goes on the inside. The required bolts are actually in the unit already, so we're going to undo those first and then slip the covers on and bolt the whole thing back together.
Click, click.
Mine
Click,
cross-threaded is still threaded. So in our directions here, they're telling us to use a spacer here on the bracket to put our protective shields over top. You can't fit the spacer inside the hole, or the washer inside the hole, and the spacer, you don't really need it, otherwise it separates the plastic units too far, so we are omitting them both.
Hey, now the Jeep's lighter and probably get better fuel economy.
Nothing will help these with fuel economy.
That's it for the MyTop convertible power top install that we did today. If you enjoyed this video, share it. Smash that like button, and if you want to see more, please subscribe and ring that bell so you're the first to know when a new video comes out. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll see you on the trails.